Okay, well on it.
All right, and welcome to Mythical Monster Investigations, where we're going to be looking over the Ogre. I'm your host, Archimage, and these are my co-hosts.
Shadow or Fox.
And Zed.
And honestly, this is probably going to be a really short one if we can actually stay focused and not go off on a bunch of tangents.
I
We're
don't know.
doomed.
I got two different AI images. I got two different AI tabs open right now to get some
I
images.
swear to God, if you put the first picture,
So let's see what I
And
can get.
we've already failed.
I know where you live.
All right, we've already failed at that. So, the Ogre. The Ogre is honestly, the Ogre has nearly been forgotten. Like, it was destined to probably be completely erased. It's in very few stories. The monster's not that interesting. And the only reason people really even know the term nowadays is because of the movie Shrek. Like, its popularity, even though I think the third and fourth one weren't particularly good, the first Shrek movie, second Shrek movie, really threw it into regards. Before that, the only popularity for the ogre came from a very popular child's fairy tale, Puss in Boots, which is why Puss in Boots was featured in Shrek, because he was the ogre killer. And, well, now when it comes to the ogre, the looks and the capabilities can vary according to region. Sometimes they have magical powers, sometimes they can transform, sometimes they're bigger or smaller, various color. Well, no, not usually colors. Believe it or not, they're usually human skin color, maybe a little darker or pale complexion. They're not green. To all Shrek fans out there, I'm sorry, ogres have never been described as green. Um, but more characteristics have been added with different attributes added as well. Puss in Boots had the ogre be able to change into any animal who he wanted, which, if anybody knows the story of Puss in Boots, not the one played by Antonio Banderas, uh, the clever cat actually tricked the ogre into turning into a mouse and then ate him, which is a fun story. I kind of like that. Now, what's the reason for this? Well, when you go back to some of the earliest ogre stories, it's not a very scary monster. Like, again, while the descriptions vary according to regions, mythologies, and stories and the particular narrative, there are some common denominator traits. Uh, Usually they're tall or they're very large, they have a disproportionately large head, they have an abundance of hair, and sometimes unusually ruddy, muddy, or colored skin. And voracious appetites, strong bodies. Now, to be fair, this is not directly said, but stereotypically, ogres are also supposed to be dumb, though it never actually says that. In fact, the ogre in wow, that's creepy.
I'm trying to get some
Jesus
images. I'm trying.
Christ.
I'm trying. That was the best I could get for Puss in Boots and an ogre.
Oh God. And I thought the Puss in Boots where Christopher Walken played Puss was like unsettling. For those of you watching on YouTube, there's not really many pictures we can grab for this one, uh, so Shadow R Fox is just grabbing things and throwing them up there as he sees fit. Which interesting choice, and of course he has to use an AI for it because why not, right? Um, but yeah, so where was I going with this? Oh, so strong body, and stereotypically they're dumb, and oftentimes the stories they've been mixed in with giants, trolls, and other things like that. Which, yeah, basically that's what they are. There's not a lot to them, and to show how much they can be mixed, actually, now is a good point to play Who's That Monster Pokemon to show how traits and characteristics can just be shoved into it. Because when you go back to the basis, you realize why they need to shove in so many characteristics. So, Zed, take it away. And let's get Shadow R Fox away from that AI generator for a second.
Yeah,
I like how you
because
think that's going to stop it.
unfortunately, I put in a crazy prompt. I was trying to
I
say,
knew it. I knew it.
Well, I was trying to say I would try to say 15th century cat, so it would give me a cat that actually looked more like, a cat from Puss in Boots. I accidentally didn't put in 15th century. I put 1500 cats. Well, an ogre
For God's sake.
in boots.
Oh, for God's sake.
So I'm currently trying to navigate through that right now. But Zed just named the Pokemon.
Just put Ogerpon on the screen. Or we already knew what it would be. In the name, its storyline is around it just being called the Ogre before they knew what it was. That's about it. That's all I got. People thought it was a murderer. So they were heavily proven wrong.
And like the cliche ogre, it does have a big club that is like to bludgeon things.
It does have a giant club that it likes to use. Ironically enough, I don't think this has anything to do with lore, but this Pokemon is always female for some reason.
Is it female? I thought it was a male.
Nope. It's female. I don't know why. I don't have an issue with it, I just don't know why.
And I think if I recall, Ogerpon is actually nice compared to.
Oh yeah, no, it's nice. The story is that a foreigner came with it to a village. Essentially, the village was racist. And so to actually be able to walk among them, because the mask crafter of the village was the only one who actually didn't mind them. So he made them masks so they could walk amongst the people and no one would know that it was them.
What? So it chooses Halloween mask to blend in?
Yes. It was a village where there's a festival of masks. Masks were common.
So the village was happening every day?
Kind of.
So every day, this village just lived in perpetual festival time, and it could just walk around every day with a bunch of masks.
Pretty much. And then
Okay.
3 other Pokemon came to steal the masks because they heard of it. They attacked the man when Ogerpon wasn't around that Ogerpon came there with. It was implied they killed him. Leaving behind only one mask, which is the green one that Ogerpon kept. In retaliation, it found the 3 Pokemon that killed its friend, attacked them, and the villagers thought that Ogerpon was going on a rampage to attack the village and that the 3 thieves defended them. It's not remotely what happened.
It should also be noted that the thing that put the 3 thieves up to go after them was another Pokemon that looked like Mochi.
Oh, is that what that thing did? I haven't gotten around to that yet.
Oh, sorry, spoilers.
I don't care. I just didn't get around to it. So that was the thing that did it. Okay.
So the thing
that makes sense.
Yeah, the thing that sent.
I know what it is. I've seen it. I just haven't gotten to doing it in the game.
Yeah, the thing that sent those 3 those 3 Pokemon stealing the mask to rob from the first place is another Pokemon saw the mask and I can't remember it. I think it won the mask for something. I can't remember because it's been a while since I played the DLC, but basically it won the mask for another reason. I think
Okay.
And it hired those 3 Pokemon to steal the mask for it. So
Well, that
Ogre
went
not
well.
only took out those 3 Pokemon, it also took out the 4th one as well.
Oh, okay. I did not know that that one was part of it.
Yep.
Well,
Although
believe
I
it or
guess-
not.
That
Sorry,
makes-
go ahead.
Sorry. I guess seeing the design of it, that makes sense now, though.
Well, believe it or not fitting in does actually kind of play into a possibility of the myth, which I'll talk about in a bit. My Anything else you want to add to the monster Pokemon thing, or brief and short?
Nah, just brief and short.
Well, that's how this is going to probably be. So let's get back into it. And I've forgotten. So, like I said, you can see from the level of Pokemon, like, it's fairly mixed, but believe it or not, fitting in what Shadow R Fox, seriously.
What in the what? What?
Believe me, that was the least creepiest image I could find.
Oh, I believe it. So, like I said, there are many variations of ogres, and it just goes into so many different directions. Very simply put, because the ogre itself is actually very simple. There's not a lot to it. And when you actually grab all the descriptions, what do we get out of it? We get an overly large, poorly groomed, uncommonly strong humanoid with or without a large or disproportionately sized head. So, what does this really mean for the origin of the monster? Now, to understand this, let's start with the name. As it might not surprise us, Ogre is actually of French origin and comes from Oricus, who is an Etruscan god of the underworld, and is said to devour humans and was to represent evil. So basically, the term ogre was to denote monstrous or monstrous behavior or just plain monstrous. So really, the French are calling a monster monstrous. Yeah, thanks for the descriptor there, Frenchies. So yeah, not a lot of help there, but it might show a little bit because it is odd considering that as monsters go, the ogre, as far as this description of being a monster goes, is actually pretty tame. I mean, it's even the cheap little picture we have, or the terrifying monstrosities Shadow R Fox keeps finding with.
Well, this one's the god you mentioned, Okra.
Yeah,
Okras.
which even then you can see is just a humanoid, but basically it's a large humanoid. So there's not actually a lot of particularly monstrous things to it. In fact, when you get down to it, the only other term that ogre could mean is man-eater. Really? That's what it gave you when you mistyped
What in the
1500s? For those watching on YouTube, I'm so sorry. So, unlike Shadow R Fox and his AI thing, the French, as you can see, put very little effort into the description of this monster and its name. Now, why is that? Well, perhaps the simplicity was the point. Now, when it comes to an ogre, ogre is a bit different in that it is almost exclusively a folklore tale. Like, to compare it to any form of mythology is really a stretch. There are ogre-like creatures mentioned, but there's nothing that really says, yeah, no, this is definitely an ogre. Like, there are plenty of stories about vampires, werewolves, and everything else that go not only from folklore and story, but also transcend into mythology and stories that even nowadays we have. But there is not anything for ogres. And no, a bunch of people cosplaying as Shrek does not count. Unfortunately. So where does this really leave us with this story? Now, what's also interesting is the stories themselves. When you talk and look at these stories, instead of going into, physical traits of scales, wings, and things like that, when they describe monsters, when they talk about monsters, they talk about how unreal and magical and threatening they are. When it comes to ogres, there's very little description to their actual physical appearance and traits. It's more of that they're malformed and grotesque, that they're just basically ugly. And, well, that doesn't tell us much, right? Until you really think about the very little information it gives. Again, what do we have? We have an overly large, poorly groomed, uncommonly strong humanoid with a disproportionate head. Now, is there a real world example of this? Unfortunately, yet. What is that?
I
Well,
found
unfortunately, yes, there kind of is. And I apologize in advance for this. Um, but again, consider a more or less unkempt large humanoid. Does that sound like anything to the two of you?
back during what would have been what 15th century France,
Yeah.
the town idiot.
Actually, yeah, close. Actually, it might be on the money because honestly, all of this description may mirror the symptoms of mental retardation.
And like that, we've been canceled. It's
Yep.
been fun, folks. I've had a good time. It was a good run. we're not coming back after this. Like, I can
Probably
already
not.
hear the people on Blue Sky typing up, telling us to die in the fire.
I know.
Yes, because being
I know.
canceled actually means something.
I know, but like, okay, so the reason I say this is not in any way saying that people who are mentally retarded are ogres. I'm saying the French suck.
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
Yes, I'm sorry, but you know
If
the
you are French, I don't apologize. You probably agree with me.
Yeah, you really probably do. Especially 1400s to 1500s France. I mean, let's face it, you guys sucked. I mean, you did some
And
shit,
like that,
okay?
France is now trying to cancel us. I don't know French word for I'm sorry, but
Shadow R Fox, we just have to say we'll fight back and they'll surrender.
and like that, we've been canceled. Oh my
uh,
goodness, some of these nightmare fuels I am getting.
Well, if the
Folks,
French assassins come after us, we know why.
they'd probably come after us with crossbows.
They'll also probably miss at point blank
Right.
range.
I know, right? And they've got, to be fair, they have two countries already making fun of them. They don't care enough about
Only
us.
two?
Well,
What is
two that
that?
surround them. Okay.
Are
Okay,
you
what
done?
the hell did you type in?
I don't even want to know what you typed for that.
unkempt, large, ugly human that looked like an ogre in 15th century French village.
Holy shit.
Jesus
Really?
Christ almighty.
Oh, God. You know, I felt uncomfortable enough talking about this topic. Now I feel worse. Okay, so going into where I'm going to justify this because I'm not making fun of people who are mentally retarded. I am talking just straight up facts and historical references. And we have to face facts that, you know, people have not been kind to people with mental disabilities. I mean, hell, a lot of people aren't kind today with people with mental disabilities. And, you know, childbirth is a hazardous process even today. And a lot of factors can go in to basically causing mental defects. Down syndrome being one of the many things that can happen from genetical defects as well as other things which can come from environment, from stress. And during the 1400s, yeah, stress was probably something women experienced a lot. I mean, we talked about in an earlier episode about cyclopses, how women would take a type of herb for their headaches and end up, well, unknowingly deforming their children to be born with one eye. So a lot of things can happen in that. And before the 1800s, well, these kind of birth defects were not exactly viewed kindly. In fact, many genetic deformities were viewed as a type of curse, which I think we can all agree with. I mean, isn't that's where the whole witch's mark thing came from? I mean, any type of deformity, you were born with that, God was cursing you, not because your mother drank a bunch of toxic moonshine or anything. It was God punishing you for being born. Makes sense. I mean, honestly, it's not that different. They're like I said, there are mentally disabled people who are made fun of today. Because let's face it, even today, humans suck. Anyone want to disagree with me on that?
No, will suck.
Zed? Zed?
What do you want me to say?
I was wondering if you had any disagreement with what I said whatsoever.
If I did, I would have said something.
Yeah, I figured. So, and of course, there are several variations of genetic defects affecting different aspects of the body, depending on, chromosomes being altered. Some conditions, such as Down syndrome, will cause a wide variety of symptoms, which will affect the child's developing intelligence. People can possess short attention spans, poor judgment, impulsive behavior, slow learning capabilities, and, of course, some physical attributes can accompany this condition, such as flattened facial profiles and noses, making the head look slightly deformed, or slightly bigger or larger or disproportionate to the rest of the body. Some of them are unusually strong and can have trouble controlling their strength. And honestly, all these symptoms can be very difficult to master, some impossible. And many have problems interacting with in social environments and have problems interacting with people altogether. Many of them dislike and become agitated in large crowds. Now, these traits, along with poor judgment, is it any wonder you could see, some of them going off the rails just a little bit, especially in a time in France when these people would probably have been openly mocked and claimed to be cursed of gods. How much can anyone take before they finally snap a little bit? Now, that's not saying that they became child-eating monsters, but my point is that they probably were not treated kindly a lot of times and would probably have preferred to be by themselves instead of being accompanied by a large number of people, which I mean is still suiting today. You could see that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then the question comes, where does the ogre story come from? Well, if you were, let's say, a complete and total jackass, and you wanted to insult someone basically for being born different, what would you call him? You would call him monstrous, or one of the biggest insults, insinuate that he did something taboo like eating people. And what would that become? Ogre. And if you're going to make up stories, what better than a disfigured humanoid who just ate people and was something that was despicable that could be killed? So the real question I'm asking is, could an insult have turned into a monster? That's an actual question. You guys can answer that.
I mean, kind of.
I mean, I know insults can make monsters.
That's true.
I mean, kind of did because, I mean, just thinking about it, we all know a movie where they straight up did this.
We do?
Goonies.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that's
I
true.
can't remember what the name of the guy was.
It was Korg, wasn't it?
Was it Korg? But he literally. When I think of Ogre, I think of him.
Yeah, right? And what was he? A deformed human.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's the thing. Like, deformities have. Thankfully, deformities are more rare than people think. But some deformities can be extreme. And yeah, they would fit what some of us would traditionally think of Ogre being slightly deformed and slightly hard to look at. Because, despite there are beauty standards, unfortunately, and people judge that. So it's not impossible that an insult could have turned into a fairy tale story monster, and maybe that's why we only really see it in folklore. Out of curiosity, is his name Korg?
Yes.
Okay, so I did have that right. Which, funny enough, I think a wrestler actually played him. Huge freaking guy. Not important. But yeah, so as far as I
Oh,
can
sorry,
tell,
Sloth. Is it Sloth?
oh, sloth. Where'd I get Korg from?
B- Um,
I mean,
Oh, was it
Korg. I
sloth?
think Korg was the name of the rock thing in Thor.
Oh, maybe that's what
Bone
I'm thinking of.
Lockney Fratelli.
Ah,
I think you just mixed up the names.
probably. Really, his name was Sloth in the Goonies?
I'm trying to see. Yeah.
Huh. You're right, it was. Well, I'll be damned. I think Korg would have actually been a better name.
Yeah, but that's a
Yeah.
heck of a thing for a mother to name a child.
Well, I mean, it's also heck for a mother to chain up her child and feed her scraps.
I mean, that's also true.
So, like, what are we going on a standard here? But yeah, no, dude was like a pro wrestler and was like 6 foot something or another. Which, yeah, like big guy. I think he was. How tall was that guy? Now I have to know. Damn. Because I looked this up once.
Welcome everyone to the Goonies podcast. Now,
Apparently,
John Mass.
6'8".
God dang.
Yeah, no, dude was a big guy.
John Matusak.
Yeah, I'm not trying to pronounce that.
Matuszak.
Close enough. Mazusak.
Mazusak. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
6'8". God dang.
Yeah, no, he was 6'8", which, funny enough, was actually the height of Peter the Great, the Tsar of Russia.
Also died super young.
Oh yeah. Uh, John or Peter of Russia? You mean John, right?
I mean, John. Yeah, the guy who played the sloth.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he also did, unfortunately. Well, so did Peter. Peter the Great didn't die particularly young. He died kind of stupid because, he went out and got pneumonia trying to save a freaking ship that was sinking.
At least that was more noble than John. OD.
Yeah. Fair enough, though Peter the Great wasn't always noble. But that's another podcast for another time. But essentially, yeah, that's the question. Insults to monster. And I honestly think that this is probably the closest to what could have actually inspired the ogre. Is either it was just people insulting mentally handicapped people that later became stories, or who knows, maybe a mentally handicapped person went nuts after years of abuse and hurt a bunch of people. I mean, both are possible. It's the French.
I think
Because
it was just. I think it was just a huge influx of um people with mental disabilities, um, and a few of them who actually had that where they actually were stronger and bigger
yeah,
due to their abnormalities, and they just nobody knew how to properly handle them, so they treated them as they ostracized them, which bred anger and resentment, which ultimately probably boiled over to in them randomly attacking and running away and
yeah,
living out in the
no, that's.
woods.
I mean, yeah, no, it makes sense, right?
I mean, yeah, we've seen that happen.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so I think it's very likely. I'm not trying to in any way put down people who have mental disabilities. I am just thinking that this is probably the most logical explanation. That's what we're all about. And honestly, I don't really care if I offend people that much. I'm kidding. I don't care at all. Anyway, but that's my explanation. Especially, it's the French. This is the kind of things they do. Because, for one thing, Puss in Boots, which is an odd story, is also French. And the French do have a history of doing things like this. After all, one of the most famous love stories, Beauty and the Beast, was a French story, and it was based off a real man who had a genetic disorder, which I forget what the genetic disorder called. The genetic disorder where you grow hair all over your body.
Oh, the Wolfman, essentially.
Yeah. Um, hypertrichosis. And yeah, the story Beauty and Beast was based off a man who had hypertrichosis. And he was actually bought and sold by the French king, who kept him around as a kind of oddity pet. You know, he dressed him up in fine clothing and said, "Look at this monster I have. Isn't it funny?" And to be part of the joke, he married off said monster to a noblewoman, and she was actually very happy with him. They had kids, and later it inspired this writer who wrote Beauty and the Beast. I bet I have ruined that fairy tale for so many people now.
Just,
Hey, truth hurts. I mean, you should read the original Little Mermaid.
oh, where like her foot get cut off or something like that, and
No, no, Little Mermaid.
oh, Little Mermaid. Well, I remember this. Don't see.
The foot cut off is Cinderella.
Yeah, no, but the Little Mermaid. I remember she trades something to get legs, and then.
Yeah, no, it was her still her voice.
But I remember something happened to her while she's on
Oh
land.
yeah, when her fin separated into the feet when she's first walking, she said it felt like
Glass, stepping on
nails and
glass.
glass.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she was basically stepping on a fin at one time, and it was very different. But yeah, that had a bittersweet ending. Oh, there you go. There's Puss in
You
Boots
don't know
for
how
you.
hard it is to find the original cover now that they have a Puss in Boots movie.
Yes, I do actually. I know exactly how hard it is. Like, I know precisely how hard it is because I tried to find it, and it's bloody difficult to do.
Everything's
Bloody
just.
difficult. Like, just say Puss in Boots: Last Wish is a good movie, but my God, it's swarmed Puss in Boots. Like, that's all you'll get now. It's just, it's ridiculous. But honestly, that pretty much sums up the Ogre. And hey, it is actually, I think this is actually one of our shortest podcasts because, like I said, there wasn't much to it. Unless, can you guys think of something else to add to the Ogre? Do you think there's something else that might have inspired it?
Well, I have some old picture from the AI, but I don't think you guys are
No,
ready
no,
to-
no. We're done. We're done. We're done. I think we're out of time. No more.
I did get this one picture that looked like Hagrid.
What?
Yeah, so you know that picture, that prompt I typed in that gave you guys that nightmare fuel of that humanoid ogre?
Yes.
I got, the other one I got previously was, um, the guy looked like Hagrid. Let me see if I can pull him up real fast.
Well, I guess Hagrid as a small giant could kind of be counted as an ogre.
Well, a slightly uglier version of Hagrid, in my opinion.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. To be fair, one of the original pictures of Puss in Boots, not with Antonio Banderas, kind of looks like that. In fact, Shadow Artbox, if you look on the Wikipedia page for Puss in Boots, I think you'll find the picture I'm talking about.
What am I looking for? Put some boots.
Yeah, if you just look up Puss in Boots Wikipedia, you'll find the picture of him talking to the ogre. And it actually looks a bit like that.
All I'm getting is the old stuff. Is the current DreamWorks person boots.
Really?
Wait,
For Puss
Wikipedia?
in... Yeah.
No, even with the Wikipedia, I'm only getting the original cover with
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Look up Ogre Wikipedia.
Oh, yeah, let me see if I can get that. Enhance.
Yeah, second image.
Oh, second image. Okay, I got the first
Yeah,
image.
sorry about that. It's been a while since I've looked this up.
Enhance. Oh, well. Okay, don't enhance. This one.
Yes.
I got two.
Yeah, but second one, doesn't it? The ogre kind of look like him.
A little bit.
Yeah, that's their idea of an ogre. So, like, as you can see, there's not much to it. Just a large human, basically. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, how is that even supposed to be an ogre? Like, Zed, I think if you grew a beard, you could pass for an ogre, according to the French.
I guess it's a good thing it's very hard for me to grow a beard.
There you go.
You also act like I need a beard to be called one.
I mean, I wouldn't really call you an ogre. Like, I'm taller.
I didn't say you would.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
We'll bring it up afterward. I know exactly what Zed's talking about.
Uh-huh.
Clearly, I don't.
Uh-huh.
We'll bring it up afterward.
All right, so then that's all I've got, and that's probably the history of the ogre. Like I said, short because there's not a lot to it. However, next time we'll have a more interesting one where we're going to be looking at the dwarves, which especially be fun since we can slightly touch on the abomination of the new Snow White movie coming out.
Oh God, I gotta come up with a song.
You're not coming up with a
you
song.
are not. No songs.
No, we don't need a song.
I need comments then. I need all the comments from the video. Snow White's in the 7 CG abomination.
Oh God.
I didn't know Snow White was played by Squire Boy. I'm rooting for the evil queen. I'm rooting for the apple. Oh jeez, I hope she eat the apple.
It was a bold choice to get Lord Farquaad to play the Snow White.
Yeah. Why is the evil queen better looking than Snow White?
Or Olivar's personal favorite. I haven't seen something implode this hard since that Titan submarine.
And we just got canceled again.
All right, end it. We're done.
Okay, I'm stopping it.